altering whatever it have may. I know you probably don't care about my preferences on media, but I don't want to sound like a trendy because I watched a podcast. Well, I was watching this podcast. It's called Lights Out Podcast. And the only reason I'm watching it is because I've basically seen all the cases of power being used in abuse. And these are the most intricately broken down when it comes to individuals who are on a singular level. The opposite of this would, of course, be Enron and corporations that handle power through multiple individuals, who I'd like to see the documentaries on the head of the heads, the head of the boards, who were calling the shots, but those aren't openly sourced as much as the criminals and the individuals that are not in business. I'm beating around the bush here because I don't want to openly just say it in public. I've watched all the serial killers documentaries, and the ones that I haven't seen are covered on this podcast, and I don't watch podcasts except for this one, with an exception of several clips on Joe Rogan. How do you do? So enough of the pleasantries. The Lights Out podcast were covering serial killers who I've not yet seen, so I was watching it, and I'm oddly surprised that these ones that were not covered were partially because how they were handling their power all had to do with occult-like behavior. They were all claiming that they were Christians when they weren't, and so they all knew the Bible, and so that they were using the Bible for all the wrong reasons. For all the right reasons, they were accounting the Bible, but for all the wrong reasons, they were using it for power, saying that they were prophets. And why this is so disturbing is that they're all very similar. And why I'm mentioning this to you is that in the future, you can have a whole bunch of power, but it'll be artificial. And it'll be so subtle as to, would you like to never lose an object again? Would you like to eat organic for the rest of your life? Would you like to... There are all routes of accesses that can be accomplished for all the right reason for you to get to do the wrong thing. Sell yourself short and sell your soul. Not have to tie your shoe. Would you like to not have to put on sunscreen? Would you like to fiber optic cable? Thing that you probably aren't knowing of until you see it for the first time, and you probably won't even see it unless you walk up to it and read stuff like I do. Is nanotech, and this could be used for good or bad, you know, but your body, you get to decide if it's used for good or bad. You can say, I'm not scared of that. I'm not scared of anything. If anything, I get nervous, and that gives me an edge. Well, right there, you're looking at the dragon in the eye. When I guess in the 50s was the first showcasing of any of this. The analog and the whole music industry, when they first started connecting instruments to electric big modifiers, modulators, if you will, the people were fascinated. A lot of the instrumentation that went worldwide was put as poster childs of people like the Beatles or the other people doing music during the switch of the analog from acoustic. So before then, in the 1920s, the music was done with like banjos, and that was the campfire kumbaya era. Around this time, there was the other lane where the scientists would be inducing experiments. Look up Tuskegee. So the scientists were doing their stuff, and that was all behind closed doors. Everyone was enamored with the Beatles and the Monkees, and then the Bee Gees, and that was all the flower power hippie movement. And we had that poster child of the hippie movement going on, and that was the big gaslight for the world to enamor in. I think there was like a war that happened, and then that got thrown into a tassel. The hippies got hit with a snare. Seeing now a new technology, mRNA tech. This is being rolled out with these 5G panels and now fiber optic cables. I know there's a thing called nanotech, but more shifting back to enamel with the flower power movement, but it's on a global scale where they're invoking saving the habitat of the greenhouse gases. See this green movement, and it's oddly mirroring what the hippies did, but people in it are more expressive by wearing masks and taking this experimental shoving the product in and crossing the fingers. And I'm only able to see this because I'm not a hippie, though I know flowers have a great mechanism of information handling, and I'm not a techie or a yuppie that buys into the media and trying to lower the carbon footprint. It's like you can do a lot of things until it's too late, and then when someone goes on TV and they say that like once you get a vaccine then you can start to have some freedom, that's as an incentive. It's really scary because it's just like you're trying to swim upstream because that's what you're born to do, but then you see a whole bunch of trashes in the way and they're saying you have to eat this trash in order for you to swim upstream. Doesn't really resonate if you were born to be free. Over here we have a whole bunch of, well, they're not salmon, but the fish swim upstream just because they like to. And then, oh shoot, there's a blockade there. I'm an Indian. I'm not like a full-fledged Indian, but I have like trace elements of Indian yucca blood inside of me, which I don't want to get tampered by a different thing. Believe that or not, but I don't really choose to be a victim by playing Russian roulette. But if back to me being an Indian, if I wanted to eat all these fish and I'm a vegetarian, or if I'm not a vegetarian, I would throw a whole bunch of more, not trash, but like giant, like if I had a net, there we go, there's the word, I'd throw down. It's been a minute since I've been trying to kill animals, unless they're a gnat, but they fly into my eye and like a kamikaze kill themselves by being an ugly thing. But that's why, like, if you kill gnats and stuff because like they want to be killed if it's hurting you. So when people are like trying to plug themselves into this new technology by doing whatever they're told in order to be free, it's almost as if they're a gnat doing whatever they can, even if it costs them their life, to do what they do best, which is attack anything that's living. So once again, I'd throw down a net and then I'd just go around and stomp out all the fish. It's fun to wake up people. See, I've got the attention of all these fish. They're looking at me to see if I'm about to throw, and some of them are slowly evacuating from the only route of access. And this is what it comes down to, dead ends, where you don't want to get cornered. If you take something that is going to corner you, such as like a therapy, can't get out of your body, it's just not good at all, as the computers will say that you are able to do this in this percentages, and Well, we can go down the line. These ones are more able to live if I throw a net down because they can escape quicker. These guys in the back of the line are going to be dead meat if I throw a net down because they can go into the trash and get stuck and snagged, or they can grow legs and evolve and climb out there, which the odds of that happening, I wouldn't say are impossible, but that's like when you're on the Titanic and you're sinking and they let all the lower class people in the bottom of the Titanic, they like tell them last that the ship is going down. So that when they're saying all the women and children come up on the lifeboats in order to not get trampled, they tell the people in the bottom lower class of the Titanic, they tell them women and children when they've got everything handled correctly, which is with the government, and have these important figures get like shot, but there won't be a needle in the syringe, and they'll just pretend they're doing it, or they'll put the syringe behind the arm and they'll do it. So it's the illusion that like, oh, I'm eating my hat, and then you put it behind your head and it looks like you're eating it from the side. Or like in the UN thing where they're social distancing, not UN, well, it's basically will turn into the UN because they're changing the name of it, and they're incorporating dynamics. The Union State Address, the Democrats, Joe Biden, they're calling it something different than the Union Address, which is kind of ironic because at one of the hearings, the PSAs that they do, they're like a woman instead of amen, because they traditionally close it by saying amen, but they go a woman and then they all start laughing. So now they're just renaming stuff and rebranding it. And so what they did with the videography is they want to show that Joe Biden's speaking to like some important people and he's not speaking to like an empty room. So they always photographed the camera reel of him talking, so it is like on a diagonal, so it looks like the heads are pretty close to each other. But then if you put it behind Joe Biden's head, you'll see that everyone is very spaced out and he's only speaking to like a room of 10 people. You can see this in the cornfields when you're going past the rows. You can only see the rows if you're directly behind them, but once you're passing them on any angle, especially a diagonal, those rows are hidden because of the angle of the camera. Grassroots illusions, which is why I